Hi, welcome to 10 Fixed Life Factors. We're with David Mullings, and David is alien from Jamaica, the beautiful country of Jamaica at this time. And David, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you very much for having me. I am David Mullings, founder, chairman, and CEO of Blue Mahoe Holdings and Blue Mahoe Capital. We're focused on giving retail investors in the US access to investment opportunities in the Caribbean, starting with affordable homes that we're building in Jamaica and in Barbados. I served as the first future leaders representative on the Jamaican Diaspora Advisory Board, representing Jamaicans under the age of 35 across the entire US, and served in that role for 3 years.
Oh, wonderful. So there's so you give us two areas that we I want to spend a little more time on. You said you're the founder of Blue Mahoe. How long have you had this organization?
Well, we had different iterations, but overall it's just over 5 years old. And so the existing one, Blue Mahoe Holdings, that we're looking to take public on the NASDAQ later this year, is 3 years old, but it's a vehicle that we aged. And so it's just this year that we're putting assets onto the balance sheet to then go and execute what we would consider affordable homes. And then on the Blue Mahoe Capital side, Blue Mahoe Capital is more than 5 years old. It's an asset management business, so it can do funds. We've done private credit, we've done some real estate deals, and we also have a number of stocks in our portfolio listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We recently became the 10th largest shareholder in Kaylee Group, which has Usain Bolt tracks and records, and has a property called Bessa, a luxury property that they're about to bring out to the market. That's mostly sold out already. So we're pretty excited about doing a little bit more in the markets here in Jamaica, both junior and main market.
That's really a lot. For 5 years, that's a lot of accomplishments. And you're talking about the two different companies on, kind of running simultaneously, but actually managing different areas. So let's talk about the Blue Mahoe in terms of saying you want to get it on the NASDAQ. And are there investors locally and also overseas or in Europe? Where are your investors?
Yeah, so we did raise money between the US, Canada, Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, and Cayman. So we've raised capital from a range of places. The majority of the money did come from the United States, and we brought that into Blue Mahoe Capital as a vehicle to then execute Blue Mahoe Holdings. Blue Mahoe Holdings will then acquire everything. So that's the plan. We eventually actually put everything on the holding. So we're excited to have local investors, local knowledge, and local partners. We think those things are critical to success.
And when you said investors, we're talking about, is it group investors or individual investors or similar organizational investors?
Well, so some people want it in a company name, but in the first round, we raised 250,000 US from friends and the family. The second round, in the second round, we raised just over 1.1 million US. And so it's a range of people, whether it's doctors, nurses, and some wealthy individuals in Jamaica and Barbados, as well as in the US. So it's a range of people.
So you're saying in terms of rounds, are you saying in terms of marketing the idea of investments to, is it where you create seminars, forums, conferences, and you attend these at different, places where, because I'm sure I've never heard of it. So I'm thinking it has to be like, right?
No, we do individual meetings. As I work in the hedge fund industry and work as a private equity fund. And typically what you do is you identify potential investors by curating that list, and then you reach out to them one-on-one. You figure out who else might know them, and then spend time getting to know them. Is this something that's within their wheelhouse, first of all? Is it something that fits the time period that they're looking for an investment? Is it within their risk profile? And then we go. So it's not something that we got to the public. Typically, when you raise money, it's by a private placement. So you can't generally solicit, you can't publicly advertise. We are now at the phase where Blue Mahoe Holdings can publicly advertise. So somebody can invest $10 a share US, $500 minimum as a US person, and we can now do that. So far this year, in the last 2 weeks, we've had 170,000 US committed from 49 investors, for example. And we can run ads on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and more. But prior to this year, we could not do that. So we had to be very careful about following the SEC rules, right? The Securities Exchange Commission, in the way that we do it. So it was really friends and family first. You talk to your friends, you host a little dinner meeting at somebody's yard, and you go to the people that you already know, and then you raise from them, then they introduce you to somebody else. In some cases, we just actually met people and talked about what we were doing at a conference, a family office event, for example. And we were very intrigued about the Caribbean. Why Jamaica? Why Barbados? Why Bahamas? Nobody asked why Guyana. They all get that one. And then we explain why is great. Now we explain how we're doing it. And then we explain what we're doing with the money. The most important question that comes after that is that why you? Why do you think you can pull this off? Because the idea makes sense. The asset classes make sense. The track record is there. So that's what we can show them, the track record. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we've done in the past. And here's our vision for where this can go. And then, of course, people say, great, who are your advisory board members? Who helping you with this? In my case, I get to use Michael Leachin as my lead advisor. And that tends to that kind of quiets everybody at that point.
So when you say we, and then you just wrote a name there, Michael Leachin, who else, I mean, that you had on board with this? And go ahead.
But yeah, well, team is important, and some are official, some are unofficial advisors. But 10 years ago, 2014, the Jamaica Stock Exchange asked me to present at their annual conference in January. And the topic was, how do we get Jamaicans in the diaspora to invest back into Jamaica? Not send more remittances, invest. And so I said, that's actually pretty easy. It's only 5 things you need to overcome to get people like me to write a check into the country. And it doesn't matter if it's Jamaica or Brazil or Ghana. So we will switch to this audio and call it a day, so you have no problem. So presenting, and I said, it doesn't matter if it's Jamaica, Brazil, Ghana, Malaysia. Once people leave our home countries, 5 things they need to overcome. Number 1, we are in the diaspora and we no longer trust the government. It doesn't matter who is in power. There's a trust deficit once we have left. So it has to be done via the private sector, not the public sector. So do not give us a diaspora bond for investment. We're not giving the government our money to invest on our behalf because we trust them. And in fact, government is not good at running business. Typically, in the case of Jamaica, we bring up Sugar Company in Jamaica. We're going to bring up Air Jamaica. We're going to bring up JUTC. It's too easy, right? It just ain't going to work. So you need to be a private sector-led initiative. That's number 1.
Right.
Number 2, run by someone from the diaspora who goes back to the home country more often than those who've moved away and not been back in 10 years, 20, or have not been back at all. And that's partially because, number 1, we now think differently when we're in the diaspora. Let's understand that. Number 2, they need to know who to do business with, who not to do business with, and how the culture really works down there. So that's why they need to be off the diaspora, but with preferably financial services experience. Number 3 is important. It has to be partnered with a financial institution domiciled in the home country, but not entrusted outside the home country. We need to avoid Madoff, Alan Stanford, all in cash plus. Simple. People need to be comfortable, and companies need to feel comfortable doing business with you. So that's number 3. Number 4 is important as well. Where do you domicile this vehicle, this investment vehicle that's going to pool? Love the Caribbean, mostly British-based legal system. So very good legal system. However, it run on CP time, Caribbean people time. So work for us. We need to be moving at boat speed, as Prime Minister Holness said. So if we want efficiency, US, Canada, UK. Those are your 3 options. The whole world invests in the US with no problem. I'm based in the US. So I had recommended the US. People love buying Berkshire Hathaway stock with Warren Buffett. They buy Apple, they buy Microsoft, they get it. So I think the US is your best option. So that's number 4. 5th and most important though is that it has to be something available to the person with $100, not just the person with $100,000. The majority of the diaspora is in the 99%. not the 1%. That's just how the percentages work. So they're what we call non-accredited investors, non-retail investors. So can't be a private equity fund. I used to work at one. It's limited to 100 limited partners and they usually have to be accredited. Can't be a hedge fund. I used to work at one. Again, 100 investors accredited. Cannot be a venture capital fund. That's focused on early stage. But again, 100. You can push it a little higher, but you have to be accredited. So those are out. So now you could do a mutual fund, an exchange traded fund, an ETF, or you could do an investment holding company. Looks like what Warren Buffett built with Berkshire Hathaway. Unfortunately, nobody in the world can do an ETF or a mutual fund domicile in the US to invest in the Caribbean companies. On top of that, even if you could do it, they have to invest in only publicly traded companies. You know who really need the money in the Caribbean? Private companies, small and medium-sized companies. So they've not allowed us to put the money where it's needed. And in fact, you make more money and a better return in private business before it goes public. So you only have one option left. Build an investment holding company that looks like Berkshire Hathaway. Raise capital onto your balance sheet and then deploy it into asset classes you feel comfortable with. So we start with real estate.
So David, you explain a lot of things, and this sounds like one of those business admin class that you have to take.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
And I'm thinking, you're saying that
Professor Mullings, when I'm done.
You're talking about all the criteria as to, you know, where the location and the type of investments and all these type of things. And you're using a lot of you know, words that I'm thinking it's not the layman that is coming to invest their $100. As you said, it's even at the minimum of that. It's people who probably understand. Sure. For example, in a nutshell, what you just explained, they don't have to stop and say, okay, can you explain what a mutual fund is? Can you explain what an EFT is? Can you know, maybe they get it. Or do you find, who we seek out? Yeah.
We are getting the layman to invest. I mean, put it this way, I had 3 Uber drivers in Miami last week. All 3 of them are investing.
Okay.
Just in an Uber, right? On a Lyft ride. Because they understand this is the way that makes sense. The 5 criteria make complete sense to me. Oh, and you are doing it. And the minimum is $500. That makes sense to me. I don't need to be an investment expert. I need to talk to an investment expert who's going to manage the money, right? You don't ask your doctor for legal advice. You don't ask a lawyer for medical advice. Why would you ask a non-financial person for investment advice? You aren't supposed to be an expert investor. You don't have time to be an expert investor. You need to understand the basics of investing so somebody can pull the wool over eyes. But you want to be able to put it into a vehicle that is transparent, that is audited. And then you can ask a very important question. How am I get my money back? Return off principle is more important than return on principle. So when I get to say, oh, we're going to list on NASDAQ and become the first publicly traded vehicle on a major US stock exchange that gives you access to the region and you can sell the shares whenever you want. And you don't need to call me. And we are SEC reported.
That's a buy-in, right? So I have something to ask. Clarify, where's the physical location, or where is your headquarters then? Because you were talking about, you know, based on what
I love it.
The olden is.
So now, you know, now I'm going to take you. Where are most companies in the United States registered? Which state?
Okay, what do you mean, which state?
One state has a majority of corporate headquarters are registered. Where they're registered. Most companies in the United States are registered in Delaware.
Okay, yes.
Right, so we have a Delaware registered company or office in Florida. But nobody comes to the...
You do not have like a subsidiary site in Jamaica?
No, we have a full-time person in Jamaica, but we don't need a... Yeah, everything is registered in the US between Delaware and Florida entities. We are now setting up something in the Caribbean. I don't know if it's going to be Jamaica. Barbados actually looks like a better option for us. And we just bought a stake in a financial firm in Bahamas. So we actually don't even need to register something in Barbados. Yeah, we have something in Bahamas now. So
But
We like that we already have something that is transparent and regulated in the Bahamas.
so so you're having Jamaican investors, or not just Jamaican investors, you have investors from across the globe, I guess. But you're actually suggesting or stating that it's a Jamaican investment because you're actually investing in properties, and the most of the investment is actually in Jamaica.
No, not most of the.
Okay, clarify.
So we're investing across Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas to start. Those three.
Okay.
The deal done in Bahamas. We've invested, we're doing something in Jamaica now. We're building affordable homes. Obviously, we've bought shares in publicly traded companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Some of those companies are headquartered in St. Lucia, in Barbados, in Bahamas, in Jamaica. They're not Jamaican companies per se.
Hold on a sec.
And next.
So the rules that you have to meet for Jamaica, the SEC rules, did you have to meet whatever
No, the SEC doesn't care where you go with the money. The SEC cares about how you raise the money.
Right, but do you have to satisfy that criteria in all the other islands, for example, that you...
No, nobody cares as long as you're taking money from their people, right? So the SEC only cares about me taking money from US persons. Jamaica only cares about me taking money from Jamaican persons.
Okay.
Barbados only cares about me taking money from Bajans. So it's always country specific. So we would do private placements, right? If I have a startup, for example, based in Florida, I can take money from somebody in Toronto, provided I didn't advertise it. My cousin lived there and say, him brethren have some money, me talk to him, the brethren write a check. I've no raised money from an angel investor. I can do the same thing in Barbados, in Bahamas, in Jamaica, because I didn't breach any rules. It's a private placement and I didn't have to go out and generally solicit. So you have to be very careful about saying that I am raising money right now, give me money. You're actually not supposed to say that unless you have an exemption. We have an exemption in the US that allows me to say $10 a share, $500 minimum, go to islandforward.com. So I can say that now and not get in trouble.
All right, so I'm going to slow you down a bit because you said a lot. We did not and I didn't get a chance to interrogate all of it, and I may not because some of it is a little also fast to capture. But let's go back to the main investment for the Blue Mahoe holding, which is you said you used the word, did you say affordable housing or luxury housing?
Affordable housing. Affordable.
Okay, wait. So it's affordable housing. Do you mind giving us a price range and the location?
Happy to give you all that. So we're doing 700 homes, 1 bedroom in Old Harbor. The project is called Penn Village. We're doing 200 homes. In the first phase, it's going to be 8 million Jamaican dollars as the price point. The home is on a 2,400 square foot lot. It is 440 square feet. So it's a starter home that can scale on the lot. NHT is 7.5 million. So one person can buy the house.
So, and you're saying that NHTs will, the potential applicant or home buyer can get their loan through NHT, use their
NHT to buy.
Okay. And so in terms of, let me ask you this, because one of the biggest things coming out of Jamaica is the quality of these homes that are being built by which contractors are you using there? Are they from overseas? Are they local?
No.
Are they subcontractors? And what type of material? And when I say I'm slowing you down because my audience are going to ask these questions and we're not going to capture it if we don't answer it.
Well, I guess, so the question is, who is your audience? Or is your audience a diaspora or a local Jamaican?
Both. I mean, and in terms of laymen who wants to break it down in a 1, 2, 3 step system that they can understand it.
So we walk through this. So right now in Jamaica, there are 70,000 people qualified for NHT, 7.5 million per person, minimum 70,000. If every affordable home developer in Jamaica tripled the homes they build per year, it still wouldn't meet the demand. So there's a huge opportunity to build affordable homes in Jamaica, sub $20 million Jamaican dollar homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, to sell to teachers, nurses, policemen, firemen. I mean, we know public servants, right? Especially that group. So
Okay.
we are building 1-bedrooms. We partner with some of my investors who are building 2-bedrooms. They've done 2-2, and they're doing some 2-1s in the same area. So this is WIM Development, and they've done the 2-bedrooms. They've delivered 49 so far. Well, 47, 49 about to be delivered in the next 2 months. So explain to me, hey, David, we're selling at 18 million Jamaican, right? For the 2-2, the 2-1 is 16 million Jamaican. Phase A sold out in 24 hours. Phase B sold out in 30 minutes. We have not announced Phase C as yet. Would you like to partner with us to build Phase 1 of the 1-bedroom? What should be my answer as an investor?
Of course.
Yes. Done. I got build it, I got sell. We have not announced them for sale as yet. I went on one YouTube interview with Kalila Reynolds for her taking stock. And in 2.5 weeks, we have 137 emails from people trying to buy a house.
And this could, some of them are coming from the diaspora as well, right?
A few. And we're not selling any to the diaspora.
Okay. And
These
so
are
talk
homes
about the
that
quality.
Jamaicans move into, who live in Jamaica.
Okay, and I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to give you an example of some concerns I heard coming out of Jamaica in terms of home. There was, I think this the development is called Jacaranda Homes. I don't know if you're familiar, in Middlesex County, St. Catherine, I believe. And the quality of the homes where it's the material is not prepared to meet the demands of Jamaican weather and infestation in terms of insects, mites, and all those, all those type of things. So, and they're saying that the material is coming from, China, and it's a, prefabrication type material that is not hold up against even the storm. As soon as there's an, even a few hours of rain, it soaks right through the material into the walls. What type of material? And people are spending 8 million and more, in terms of US dollars. We're talking like, what is it, 50?
Yeah, like 50,000 US and up is what they're spending.
50,000 US, right. And then on top of all the fees, and then the quality of the home is so poor that they have to continuously maintain it, the physical structure. Talk about the quality, David.
So, block and steel with a steel wrapper. So it is prefab in that you have to pour the concrete, use a machine to then create the walls.
Right.
And it's actually a bulletproof house. They enter the NHC competition. They're placed in the top 5 for the house. The 1-bedroom is built and is actually used as a sales office for the 2-bedrooms. So Jamaica recently had like a 5.6 earthquake. No problem. No cracks, no issues. The 47 homes that were delivered, people live in them right now. No cracks, no issues, no problem.
What about
so
the
that is up to standard, right? They're using Carib cement. It's not some imported cement from China. And that important thing from China. This is mostly high quality, come from the US, bought in bulk, so we can bring down the cost. Remember, if you can buy something, if you're buying 1, you pay this price. But if you're buying 100, you pay this price. If you're buying 1,000, you're paying this price.
Yeah.
But you buy it once and can store it on the property. So it allows us to control the cost of delivering the home while still having quality. I mean, my dad came down, he's one of my investors, and I took him to the property to go on tour. And when he saw the 2 bedrooms, the first thing he said, my gosh, any more for sale? I need to buy 2.
Wow.
The bathroom is nicer than my bathroom here at this house, our main house in Kingston. Everything.
The design.
Quality, I don't think quality will be a problem at all.
So the other question that I was asking you is, who are the builders? Are they local or are they from overseas?
No, it's local Jamaicans, born and raised Jamaicans, called WIM Development, WHIM Development. They're the ones building the 2 bedrooms. That's called WIM Estates. They will do 1 bedrooms. The 1 bedrooms are called Penn Village. PENN Village.
Okay, Penn Village. And this is in the same proximity to each other.
Yeah, it's opposite side of the highway. So Old Harbor has that exit right off the new highway coming from Kingston. We may stay on the left side if you're driving out towards Maypen side. Penn Village on the right side of that one. So that's how we connect them.
So for people who say are interested in buying a property, or even, as you said, partner, because you know they're being sold so fast, how do they get a hold of you guys? I mean, I'm sure you, of course, you have your website, Blue Mahoe.
Right. So it's a little catch, right? We are not announcing them for sale as yet. So you can join our mailing list
Right.
to know when we announce sales. So you have to go to bluemahoeholdings.com for that. Very easy. Blue Mahoe, M-A-H-O-E, Jamaica's national tree, holdings.com, fill out the contact form, put Penn Village in your subject, and we'll put you in touch with Tanya Peralta, who is our investor relations specialist for retail investors. She's actually leading up, getting them on the mailing list and keep in touch with them. If you want to invest in Blue Mahoe to help us build the homes and make a profit when we sell the homes, then you go to islandforward.com. And then you can go on there and you're going to select whichever one you are. If you're going to be an individual investor, you click the link and it sends you to the page to pledge to buy X amount of shares in the company. Minimum is $500 worth of shares at $10 a share.
What did you call? Could you repeat the name of the?
Islandforward.com.
Okay.
Yeah, man, we're moving the island forward.
Okay, and forward. And so even if they go to the Blue Mahoe Holding, will you have a link to that?
Yeah, there's a big link on the front page if you want to invest as well that says go to islandforward.com. You click it and it sends it here as well.
Okay. And are these gated communities or not?
It is actually gated. Yes, it is a gated community with storm drains that are under the road. So the water doesn't just stay on the surface. It looks like foreign. We're really happy about it. So I was just there yesterday. We're about to edit some more videos and post on social media later this week. I'm very happy about that. It has 3 deep water wells. So it has its own fresh water source as well. And they built their own sewage treatment for both solid and liquid waste. And they built their own gully at the back. So the stormwater doesn't just run off into the harbor by Port Esquivel. The water goes into a massive gully that then gets routed to the treatment and it gets treated before it gets released into the environment. We care a lot about taking care of our environment. As you know, Jamaica is very green and lush. All these Caribbean countries are green and lush. And we can't just mash up the environment.
Well, and that's the question. You're saying the water is being, you know, kind of create a thorough way for it to get into the gully. But is the gully taking it anywhere into?
That's what I'm saying. The gully is taking it to the sewage treatment plant.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets treated in the sewage area.
Does it
treat it before it goes in?
Is it through National Water Commission or is it through Concara Water? Or is it some private?
No, it's our water. It's our wells. It's their wells. They own the property and they have the wells on there. So they built a water facility to manage water going to people. They're now negotiating for NWC, Water Commission, to take it over. But right now it's private. And so it's a privately owned water system.
So who owns this private water well then, if you want to call it?
The same wind development guys, the person that owned the land. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's entirely owned within the group that is building everything. They built the sewage treatment and they manage that as well, and will continue to scale that up as the property keeps scaling.
And these questions are important because people are going to ask, you know, okay, who am I, you know, am I going to always have running water? Am I going to have water?
Yeah, running water, it's water commission is there, but you have 3 wells. Yeah, you can have running water. It's connected to water commission.
Okay. So let's talk now about Blue Mahoe Capital. You said that this is a so you're running both companies.
Yeah, because they're going to be merged into each other.
And so this is, you said this is an asset management company. You're managing other people's asset. And where again, where are you?
I'm being fair about that. I don't manage other people's assets. No.
Okay, describe what you do. Describe what you mean by asset
management. On our balance sheet. Yeah, they gave us the money. So we sold shares and they gave us cash onto our balance sheet. It's now all of our money. So it's a pooled vehicle. That's then going to invest that money. So it's not other people's money, right? When they manage other people's money, that's considered client capital. And there's a whole different set of regulations that apply to you to manage separately managed accounts are what they're called SMAs. We do not manage money for other people. Because you know what happened? Hey, David, I want to buy this IPO. I want to sell this. I want to sell that. Okay, that's not what we do.
Right, okay, fair enough. So, where do your clients, what's your clientele look like?
My shareholders, they're not clients.
Shareholders. Mm-hmm.
It's the same people.
Oh, that is coming from Blue Mahoe into
Yeah, they came into Blue Mahoe Capital first. Blue Mahoe Capital is what created Blue Mahoe Holdings that's going to focus initially on real estate. So that's why the vehicles will be merged at some point. So if you get into holdings, you'll eventually benefit from capital. So I raise the money into capital. Capital needs to figure out how to invest in the Caribbean. The opportunity came up to do the real estate, and we need to list something on NASDAQ. I could list Blue Mahoe Capital on NASDAQ, or I could list something else. So in discussions in my teaching.
So you mentioned something about credit. I mean, that's part of the.
So I talk about 4 asset classes, right?
Yes.
So when you're going to invest, you have to decide. Most people invest in real estate. People are going to think that, okay, I can also invest in stocks, right? We're taught that we should also invest in stock markets. But then we hear something about bonds. We should buy bonds. So a bond is debt. I've lent somebody money. So if it's not publicly traded, then the bond is considered private credit. I've lent you money privately. It's just a fancy way to say, I'm lending money. I have to pay you back, right? That's private credit. And then private equity is investing in private companies. Just fancy words for simple things. We all know them things. So those are the asset classes that we were looking at investing in. The SEC doesn't allow me to do private equity and public equities under the exemption that we are using for Blue Mahoe Holdings. Right. So holdings is going to start with real estate, and it sits over here. Blue Mahoe Capital can do everything else that I want to do as well, where I see other opportunities, so we can support that small and medium-sized business in Jamaica or Barbados or Bahamas and help them to scale. And we can lend them money at an interest rate that's competitive or lower than what they could get the money in the Caribbean. We can invest in private equity, so we can actually give them money in exchange for shares. And now that's equity capital, is risk. I can lose the money, but I can make a lot more as well. Or I can buy shares in publicly traded companies. I can do all of that over here in Blue Mahoe Capital. And the SEC won't bother me because it's private.
So
makes sense?
I said the word client and you said, no, they're shareholders. I mean, someone coming in and said, okay, well, explain this to me because you're managing something for me. So
no, it's not for you. That's what I'm saying. It's not for you.
I guess in terms of, you're saying I'm giving you the money in order for, to become like a partnership, I guess, within the, still not a partner.
Shareholder, the word is shareholder.
Shareholder, okay.
You buy shares in Apple. If you buy shares in Apple today, does Apple call you a client?
So I have a client on the line, I don't know. I have my shareholder on the line, something like that.
I'm a shareholder on the line. I'm not a client. A client is somebody, in fact, you're a customer of Apple when you buy a phone. You're a client who pay for the service now to have the phone. You probably pay T-Mobile or Verizon. That is a client, right? A shareholder gave me money expecting the business to generate a profit and then pay dividends and grow the value of the investment. That is a shareholder. So Apple is going to call you a shareholder. Apple is public though. You can be a shareholder in private companies. So we have shareholders. Hey, David, I like what you're doing. I think you're going to make some money now. Can I buy a piece of your company? Sure. Here's the price. And then they come in and I take the money and I go and invest it. So Warren Buffett has Berkshire Hathaway, which is an investment holding company. He invests in real estate, private companies, public companies, does some debt, not that much. So we want to build a Berkshire Hathaway for the Caribbean. Most investors, most layman investors, or just layman, have never heard of Berkshire. They know Warren Buffett name though. They don't know what him do or how he make money. So we need to educate those people on how investments work. Now, if you want to go and buy shares in Apple, you have to open an investment account with somebody. You might go to JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, you open it, and they put shares into your account. So you put $100 in there, you pick the stocks you want to buy. If you have enough money, you get an investment advisor to tell you what to buy and manage your account for you. But you get to decide what you buy when you sell. But you better figure out what you're buying and how to invest. We don't do that.
Okay, other than the investments in terms of housing, property investment, or property development, what else are you buying?
Or what have we bought?
What else are you investing in terms of
So here's one of the benefits of being private. We don't have to reveal our portfolio except what we want to talk about. So I'll talk about this, for example. We bought K-Lee Group Limited in December. K-Lee's Kingston Live Entertainment. They used to own Fiction and those, the nightclubs in Jamaica. They own 49% of Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records. That's his restaurant brand here in Jamaica. One in Kingston, one in Montego Bay. They also own Bessa. They've been working on development. That's high-end luxury. It's apartments and villas in Araka, Bessa, Jamaica. Right by, this is out Ochi, and near to Goldeneye on the beach. And so they're going to now 80% sold out. They just ordered the furniture. So we bought shares that were publicly traded on Jamaica's junior stock exchange. And we bought enough shares, about 1.7 million shares, to become the 10th largest shareholder in K-Lee.
Wow.
Because I think that there's an opportunity to make money from that business. On the Bessa side, they will sell the property, but then they manage it and earn fees from renting it out. Great. High-end Airbnb, not Airbnb, way above that. Really? So that's great. We think there's a company that was undervalued. We think that people are misunderstanding where the money is going to come from and how well it's going to do over the next 10 years. For us, everything is 10 years out. So the next thing though is that Tracks and Records has never been franchised. They originally listed with the goal of being able to franchise it in the US, UK, right, Canada, any market where we could have like a Caribbean vibe. And so we think there's an opportunity to help them get into the US market where we can introduce them to potential franchisees in Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, and New York, and now earn money from the franchise agreement. Take McDonald's. We think in comparison is more like Margaritaville or Bahama Breeze, which sell Jamaican jerk chicken that use no Jamaican products. So they make money off our brand and we get nothing. Let's fix that. Those are the kinds of things we invest in. So we have shares in some other public companies. I'm trying to think if I've spoken about any other. I'll talk about one that we did have on there. So my best performer is Epley. Most people don't even know what Epley is. E-P-P-L-E-Y. So Epley, part of what they do is they have some leases, they have a property fund here in the Caribbean as listed, and they manage that fund and earn fees from that fund. The bigger the fund gets, is the more fees they get. Well, we're up more than 97% in 3 years on Epley. I like Epley. It so happens that the CEO of Epley was in my class in high school. So I understand how he thinks. I understand what he learned. I don't get the inside information, but I went to school with a person. I understand the education he got. I am confident in his ability to manage that business and grow that business. So that is another one that we had invested in. But we have 18 companies in our portfolio that are publicly traded. We will never have more than 20. I focus on having a small number of eggs in a few baskets and then watch them like a hawk, because that's what Warren Buffett says he must do. So that's the recipe, right? Warren Buffett is a role model I've identified. I got his recipe and I'm not changing his recipe, because that's what Michael Leachin said to do. Don't change the recipe. You can only change the recipe if you exceed the role model. Yeah, well, I don't think I exceeded.
Let's talk about risk.
Yeah, man.
Let's hear it. I mean, how often do you have to answer this question about risk? You know,
I only have to answer that question for people who don't do investments.
Well, let's talk about it. Sure.
I love it. I think risk is something that you need to understand that exists everywhere. So your job is you can't eliminate risk. If I step out my house, there's a risk of me getting hit by a car or something. Okay. So risk exists in life. What you want to do is manage risk, right? And then you need to understand what is your risk comfort level, right? Am I at a point where I can risk?
Individual shareholder or investor.
But once you want to put money somewhere else, right? If I put money in the bank, there is a risk that money actually disappears because the bank can fail.
Right?
There is insurance for that in case it fails. But I can choose which bank to go into. There's a risk. The minute money leaves your hand, there's a risk. But if the money stays under the mattress, there's also a risk. It can burn up, right? It can be stolen. So wherever the money is, there is risk. So we start with that. Okay, great. What risk am I comfortable with? What risk am I not comfortable with? It usually comes down to education, comes down to your age, comes down to the amount of income you're generating, right? Those are usually the three things that help to determine your risk. When I'm past 55, boy, I worried about retirement, so I can't take too much risk. I need income.
Right.
So they want to focus on something like bonds, for example. I want fixed returns. Fine. When you're younger than 35, do you even have money to invest and take risk with? Because you probably get married, you have picnic, you have diapers to pay for, formula for buy. You might want to buy the house, you got car payments, student loans. So your wallet kind of pack up right now.
Answer this
So
question.
it's different.
Because as I said, this is a lot of information and it's not an everyday talk language in terms of understanding the business context then of this. So you may come across a Jamaican who has been in the US for, since the 70s, and they are skeptical about everything. And they have a lot of questions. Does this person talk to you through like, I'm going to, and here, and even for me, I need to be directed here. Is it through a broker so they can break it down through translation, or are you dealing with these individuals directly? Because I'm thinking this is a lot of repetition, a lot of back and forth, a lot of explanation that has to be done, especially for people say, well, which one should I invest in? Is it through a bond, through this, through, that's right?
Well, so it's important that we have these discussions, and that's actually a problem. The fact that financial literacy is not taught in schools at the high school level. The fact that our communities, our families are not talking about wealth creation, especially generational wealth creation.
And I want to say this is not just Jamaica. It's
no, this is just
across,
this is
yeah, it's across the US.
And it's not even Black people either. It typically is middle class and working class are not having these discussions.
Yes.
But school seems to be designed to not have us have those discussions. So let's fix that, right? So we're already starting behind the starting line, way behind the starting line, because we don't have discussions. So I have an MBA in marketing and international business. The single most important thing that I learned in my marketing class was the distribution innovation curve. So if you think of everything as a normal distribution, it's a nice little curve with a bunch of people in the middle, right? The middle class. Right. Then you have one side of the curve, the other side. But it's the same way that products are adopted. You have early adopters. So Apple, for example, comes out with a phone that costs $1,000. Only a few people buy the phone first. Those are the early adopters. Then you move to the next group, early majority. Then you go to the middle, then late majority and late adopters. The first thing you do as a salesperson is to qualify your prospect. So if you go to buy a car today, well, maybe never go to buy the car. You show up at the car dealership. You know what they're supposed to ask you? How soon are you planning to buy a car? If you don't tell them today, they just want the information, goodbye. They want to know, is it today? Is it in the next 6 months? Is it after 6 months from now? Because they can put you in a bucket. So my job is to quickly figure out what bucket is this potential investor in. So if they have 100 questions, they're in the late adopter bucket. It's too much work to get them across the finish line. It's the same amount of time and effort to raise $100 as $100,000. So you want to get early adopters first, then early majority, then you get to the middle. Because the most skeptical person is going to be the hardest person to convert, and it's going to take the most time. But you know what converts them? Doing it. Go execute.
That doesn't sound fair to me, David.
It's not, but you know what that taught me? Life is not about fairness.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Life just
So
is.
I can imagine there are people probably waiting to hear back because they have a million questions.
No, we've been in touch with everybody.
On the other side of the curve, right? In terms of that.
We go to everybody. We invite everybody to our quarterly calls. We spend time going through wealth creation, how it works, explaining how you invest, how you make money, What is the difference between bonds and stocks? So we keep educating. Every quarter we educate, we re-educate, right? We're actually putting together now a financial literacy course that's going to be free. So people can go through the course at their own pace so we can contribute to financial literacy.
I have questions.
What?
You're still gonna have questions after even
We always have questions, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is not our job. We are not school. So it is not our job to answer every single question for every single person. We run a business that needs to generate a profit and generate a return for our shareholders. So our shareholders need to know that, wait, you're working our money or you're off doing some charity? Like, which one are you doing?
Got it.
Because if your capital is helping to pay us, I would hope that you would want me to go work, not do charity, right? Or at least get your profit and do charity. Can we do both? I think that we can do both. I can't do both right this minute. I need to get the capital, list on NASDAQ, then we can do both, because Warren Buffett in his annual letter to shareholders and his annual general meeting taught investing and taught financial literacy. We want to.
Sounds as if he's your poster guy, right?
Yeah, he's a role model.
Is your guy. Have you gone to some of his
No, I got a t-shirt from one of his Berkshire annual shareholder meetings, and I will go to the one this May because I don't know how much longer I'm going to have him. I've watched everyone and read every letter since.
So you mentioned, I want to talk about EFT. You said you know,
ETF.
Did you say EFT or E?
ETF, exchange traded funds, yeah.
Oh, I thought I heard EF. Okay, talk about that one. Are people going towards that?
Well, you can't do one. So that's the whole idea is that, guys, there's only one way to do it, the way we're doing it. That's the whole idea. Here are the ways that we think it should work. Well, we can't do this way. We want you, the regular person, to get in. It can't work. No venture capital fund, no private equity fund, no hedge fund, because you have to be worth $1 million or make 220,000 US per year for the last 2 years. So you can't do this. And it's only 100 people. I'm not trying to help 100 people. I'm trying to help a few million people. So this option don't work. You want to get people to realize, oh, that don't work. Great. What else you have? Well, here are the 3 options. Exchange traded fund, a mutual fund, or Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Well, nobody can do these 2. Legally, you cannot do an ETF or a mutual. But even if you could do them, is investing in the wrong stuff. So here's the only option that's left. Us, the way we are doing it, the way Warren Buffett did it. If we want everybody to get help, this is the only way to do it. But here's why that's also good, is investing in what we actually need to invest in. Where is the young lady or older lady who has 20 sewing machine making uniform in Jamaica for school? And where is she getting the capital, equity capital, not a loan at 20% and 25%, or a credit card at 45%. Where is the investor who comes in and says, hey, I can put 200,000 Jamaican or 1 million Jamaican as equity into your business for 20% ownership or 10% ownership, so you can scale. Oh, and by the way, I can join your board, I can provide advice, I can help you to scale the business. I can open doors for you to potential customers. That is what we need to create wealth for middle-class people. That capital is not flowing into the region. We can solve that problem, but there's only one way to do it. You need to follow what Berkshire Hathaway did. Okay. Because ETF and a mutual fund is not allowed to do that.
Fair enough. So I think you mentioned in terms of say, asset protection, protecting whatever it invested in. You talk risk. About being insurance. You're covered by insurance. Is it
well in the bank?
Could you repeat that?
If you put your money in the bank, is insured.
Yes, but for you, in terms of your businesses, the capital and the holdings, and for people who invest and for people who, become shareholders and so on, how, what are the protection there? Yes, they're getting back some premium, whatever it is, the term.
I need to explain what you get back, right? I need people to understand investing. Let's pretend that this person has never bought a share in their entire life, because I've met people like that. So if you now go and buy shares in Walt Disney or in Apple or Microsoft, You have bought that share. Say you paid $10 for one share. The share goes up in value to $15 because Apple had an amazing year and came out with a new iPhone. So it's now worth $15. On paper, you've made $5. Until you sell it though, you don't have $5 in gains. When you sell it, you pay tax on the gain. I'll pay tax on the $5. If I hold it for more than 12 months, I pay a lower tax rate. If I hold it and sell it for less than 12 months, I pay a higher tax rate. So taxes matter. If I just hold on to it for the next 10 years, the goal is that it goes up more. So it might go from $10 to $100 in 10 years because I was patient. I held for the long term. During that 10 years, though, Apple is paying out a dividend. Every time they make a profit, they declare a dividend, which means they're paying me some money. So for every dollar of shares, or every $10 worth of, every one share, they're going to pay you 10 cents. And I get paid that constantly. So I'm now paid while waiting for capital appreciation. So I want two things. I want dividends, but I want capital appreciation. The two things. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway does not pay dividends. He only deals with capital appreciation. You want the money, sell the shares or borrow against them. His reason is that he is better at investing the money than you. And that has actually proven to be right. That's great. I am not Warren Buffett, right? I need my investors to get some returns, man. So I'm paying dividends. So we will pay out as we make profit, we'll declare a dividend.
Quarterly, monthly, how do you do?
The dividends are paid quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, depending on when the board declares a dividend. So you have a board meeting every quarter, right? Companies release quarterly financials, whether they do them internally or publicly. Publicly traded company, Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, quarterly report, the whole public see it at the same time. So everybody see it one time. Nobody get it before. You read this and, oh, wow, they had a blockbuster quarter. The price goes up. Oh, man, they had a horrible quarter. Price goes up. That's how it's supposed to work, right? The board says we had a great quarter. We're declaring a dividend. We're paying 10 cents for every share you own. Great. And you wait and a check is mailed to you or the money is wired into your account. So you made some money that quarter from the dividend. Oh, we had a horrible quarter. We can't declare a dividend this year. Okay. Damn.
So, David, we're 3 minutes winding down here. Very interesting. Yeah, I know.
I'm winding down. Part one winding down.
We may have to do a part two. Very interesting information here, and it's an eye-opening as well. Very insightful because now we know that there's so many opportunities for Jamaicans in diaspora, any of the diaspora across the globe, to talk to somebody familiar. So talk to someone who is actually making a difference and creating these enterprises for opportunities, I guess. And the way that you're breaking it down for us to understand it, and it sounds very rich, and I cannot understand why anybody would want to call to contact you about it. But
we do get a lot of people calling at the
So you have the last minute or two to just, in a nutshell, tell us, more in terms of, or should I say summarize then, someone, wants to say, okay, what we need to do again? Kind of tell us.
So it's two things I want to leave any viewer with, and I think it's the most important things I need to leave with is making sure their mindset is shifted towards generational wealth creation and think long term. So let's start with this. If I am going to plant a mango tree seed, I plant the seed and I start watering it. It does not start growing tomorrow. I don't dig it up every day to check and see if it's growing. I'm going to grow it and trust that it's growing. Then it pops out and there's a sprout. I don't grab the sprout. I keep nurturing it and check on it. It grows into a tree. I don't chop down the tree. I want the mango tree to bear mangoes, and then I'll pick the mangoes. It takes time for something to bear fruit. That's also why our logo for Blue Mahoe Capital and Blue Mahoe Holdings is a tree. The Blue Mahoe tree happens to be one of the fastest growing hardwoods in the world, but it's here for the long term. So we want to be a fast growing company that's here for the long term, but it needs time to grow. So again, you want to plant a seed, you nurture it, you water it, it grows. You want it to give you fruit. Don't chop the tree, guys. Think longer term when you're making an investment. So that's number one. I want people to have that mindset. Think long term when you invest it. The second thing is to think about why diaspora direct investment is better than foreign direct investment. So when foreigners invest in a country, the minute there's a problem, whether it's a hurricane, an earthquake, some political problem, that money leaves, capital flight, it's gone.
Right.
When the diaspora invests back home, we already know about the hurricane. We already know what can go wrong, and we know it's going to blow over anyway. Our capital will stay. It's patient. That is why our capital is higher quality. And we need to find ways to pool that money in vehicles that are transparent, that are audited, and preferably that are liquid, so you can get your money out whenever you need it, because life happens, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Tell me, "Boy, David, life is life, you know." I can relate. So you might be putting in the money thinking, yeah, man, 5 years, I'm good. And 2 years later, God forbid, some medical thing happen or something happened with that parent. They're in a car accident and you need some of the money. You can sell the shares enough to call me and ask for, yo, I'm gonna get the money back. It's account, man. Just sell it. You're good. In my opinion, that reduces risk dramatically. So in our case, we report to the SEC, right? So we have to meet certain rules. We are audited. So you get to see what we did with the money every quarter. That's kind of important. Is he doing what he said he was going to do with the money? I'm running off another something else. And you can see the actual numbers and what we did and what the returns were. And then we're going to declare dividends and pay dividends. So it means that you're going to be patient for the 10 years, but you get paid while you wait. That's the best kind of investment. Me putting some money, you're going to pay me dividends. Apple pays me dividends while the share price ideally over the next 10 years goes up.
So
that's the way.
David, it sounds like just even with the summary that there's I can imagine the technicality behind the scene, the amount of skills and talent that it takes to do all of this, because I'm thinking a lot of software development, a lot of things just to make it so.
You're overthinking it. No software is
Well, you
needed.
have to, because you're thinking, oh my goodness, to put all of this together to make sure, to make it seem seamless and to make sure that everybody's happy and have clarity and understanding, as you said, that, you know, they feel comfortable knowing that, well, if something happens, I can get it back, and they have that.
But thankfully, that's what NASDAQ handles, right?
The
NASDAQ
transparency. That's the key, the transparency.
The transparency, honestly, is the most important part. And I think that too many people invest in things that they don't understand.
Exactly.
So if you don't understand it, don't put your money in there. Only invest in what you understand. That's it. So you buy from Amazon all the time, you can buy some Amazon stock because you understand how it works. You have shit Prime.
All these questions, and as I said to you, we have to break it down so that, you know, yes, we can convert people to the other side of.
I know that, but you have to value time and effort. So you don't try and convert everybody. You never try to boil the ocean. You start with early adopters and you get them in. Then you move to the early majority. Then you get them in. Then you move to the middle of the pile. Like that's
don't call the people on the other side charity cases.
I never call them charity cases. They're called the late majority and late adopters. That's it. We have some people today that still don't have smartphone.
Oh no, that's enough.
You try to convert them? No. They're good.
All right, David Mullings of Blue Mahoe Holding, Blue Mahoe Capital, doing some wonderful things with Jamaica right in the midst of this. And we so appreciate that when we can always keep Jamaica high, you know, just flying high, especially across the globe. So thank you for joining us. And, you know, when you're ready again, we can do part 2. You can let us know.
Part 2 when you're ready. I'm ready next week.
Take care, David. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I appreciate it.